Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video we will be installing Windows 95. As a bonus today, we're also going to be installing MS Plus 95 and Office 95. We'll be also doing a few little tips and tweaks here because right out of the box when you install 95 on VMware and probably in any virtual environment, you're going to have a few hiccups. The graphics driver is not going to work, sound drivers aren't going to work. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to install everything, how to install the two extra programs, as well as getting everything functioning. I'm still having a little bit of an issue with the networking. I have seen it done on here before, but for the most part, you probably wouldn't install networking on here. That's probably by 98 and above. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump right into this and get it going. Now you have to create a new virtual machine, and like always you have to make sure you install MS-DOS 622 with CD-ROM support. As you can see here in my description below, I went ahead and did this already. Everything we do in the video as well will be down in the description below. I will have links to everything, so you're able to actually download everything I have in here, including the software, the patches, and everything right from my cloud server, and go from there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Edit Virtual Machine first, and you more than likely already have a floppy drive added, but if you don't, make sure you add one because you're going to need it midway through the actual install. And then we have a CD DVD ready to go, and I have already mounted my Windows 95 CD. Again, you have to install MS-DOS 622 or any version of DOS, otherwise this will not work and you'll just be getting a bunch of errors. So let's go ahead and power this on. Now I am running the required specs, so when you do the install for Windows 95, it's going to tell you how much RAM to use, how much this. I left everything as default. The only thing I ended up adding obviously was a floppy drive to install MS-DOS. Everything else was left at default at 8 gigs of RAM. I believe it was 64 gigs or 128 of RAM. So yeah. So first things first, we're going to type in D. We're going to type in the word setup. All right. So now we're on the setup page. And pretty much this is about as interesting as this is going to get. So we're going to just pretty much keep hitting next. You have your welcome page here. The directory, we're going to keep it at default. Again, we're going to leave it as a typical install. If you want to change anything else here, you can, but for the virtual environment, I recommend keeping it as typical. Now for the serial keys, if you don't have them, you're more than welcome to copy the one I have here, because it's really not going to do any harm. So let's see if I actually have the right serial number for this. Okay, if you want, you can pause the video and copy that number. I will also be adding this into my zip file for all the files and CDs. Microsoft really doesn't care that you're going to steal their Windows 95 setup, because chances of you actually needing it today and everything else, or even being relatively usable, is slim to none, so they really are not going to freak out about this. Also, there's no activation servers before Windows XP, so you can pretty much hijack this all you want. So we're going to type in our name, company. Now you can leave company as blank, you just have to actually put a name in. So hit next. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put both of them in here. For network adapter and sound, you don't need to actually put the sound in here, you can do it later, but I always like to check it both off, because you're going to find out in a little bit that the sound is not functioning properly. But good thing that somebody came out with a patch to fix that problem. And it actually doesn't just fix virtual machines; it actually fixes regular, PCs as well. And the installation takes about 10-15 minutes. Even on modern hardware, because what it does is that it throttles down all your CPU power and everything, so that it can actually, not crash. If you put too much RAM in here, if you put too big of a hard drive, it actually doesn't know how to read that. So if you put, say, 8 gigs of RAM on this, in 1995, they never heard of that, so it wouldn't know how to actually properly read, 8 gigs of RAM, and it'll more likely crash every time you try to install it. So this would be as close as we're going to get to actually doing the install back in 1995, except this is an SSD, so it is going to run much faster, obviously when copying data and everything. But for the most part, the other hardware, the CPU speeds, has been clocked down, and same thing with the RAM has been clocked down a lot. Okay, hit next for common components. Now you can create a startup disk or not. I've actually will go ahead and package my boot disk with it. So just to show here, we can go ahead and make one. I'm just going to go to hit next. All right, now it pops up with a start disk. So I'm just going to actually just mount my already boot disk that I have. So we're going to go to here, ISO, boot disk, floppy, Windows 95, 95B. Okay, connect it. And there we go. All that did actually was just update the floppy drive that I have there. It doesn't actually do anything because I already have an actual image of that floppy. So you can skip that process too, but just in case somebody wanted to know how it worked or how it happened, there you go. That's how you make a quick startup disk. Okay, so now I'm going to Control Alt, go down to the little floppy and hit connected. So I just disconnect that completely. And then we'll go ahead and restart the computer. So for the computer name, you can name it whatever you want. So I'm just going to call it Win95. Work group is work group, or whatever you would like to call it. Like I said, I actually haven't been able to get networking to work properly on here. I'll probably do a video later once I figure it out, how to get networking to work with your actual computer. But again, you really can't do much on here with networking, so it's kind of a dumb thing to actually do. And then the computer, I'm just going to call it Win95 VM. But see here, you can actually go ahead and set up networking. The drivers aren't obviously installed yet, so we're not going to really get far. Even when you install VMware tools, it's still not going to do anything crazy for you and help you out. So what it's doing right now is it's just going through the process of putting all the programs, start menus, everything. Go ahead and pick your time zone. We got to add a printer. Now, we don't have a printer, and more than likely whoever's doing this doesn't have a printer available. So I like to go to generic and just do it this way. Just so that I don't have to worry about it. You can cancel out of it too. I just really just kind of just put something in there so that the system doesn't freak out. Sometimes when you don't do the printer there, it actually causes a couple errors, pops up the screen saying you have to reread the disk or any kind of craziness, and I just want to skip all that. So now, because it's asking us to enter username and password, well, we don't have one. So great security, Windows 95 had. Hit cancel. And look at that. So we're going to hit next right here. Actually, what I'm going to do is we're going to install VMware tools. So Control Alt, go up to VM and install VMware tools. Now, it is very limited with Windows 95, 98, and I believe NT in 2000. So this is more of a drag and drop. It's a drag and drop scenario. Yeah, I know. The errors you're getting here is because that the Internet Explorer is so old it doesn't know what to do, which makes sense. And then, as you can see here, the SVGA drivers actually aren't functioning. So we're going to have to actually do a few things here, which is actually not a problem. I'll show you that in a few seconds on how to update the graphic drivers on here. Okay, so active channel. All right, so all these errors we're getting here are mainly because we're not connected to the internet. And makes sense because we have no internet connection. So first things first, we're going to go down here to start, shutdown, and we're just going to restart the computer. And we're going to do this a lot. That's the nice thing about these older computers, that unlike today where you can actually kind of skip the reboot, you can't do it with these. They freak out way too often. So you can see down here in the corner, VMware Tools is actually installed. So now we have the grab and go. As you can see, my mouse moving around. But as I go full screen, it stays, pretty tiny. So how to fix that is we're going to go under Settings, Control Panel, Display, Settings, and we can click on Advanced Properties. Now we're going to have to change this driver. Now the nice thing about this is that we actually have the disk for it. So we click on Have Disk, click Browse, and then we're just going to have to go into our C drive, Program Files, scroll down to get to VMware, VMware again, Drivers, and Video. And you can see here it actually found a SVGA driver for us. So we're going to hit OK, OK again, and there we go. Hit Apply, and OK, close, and now we have to reboot one more time. So we're going to go ahead and reboot now. Okay, we're going to hit cancel on this again. All right, so now if we go into here under Control Panel, Display, Settings, you can see here we can set it to what we need to. So I'm just going to do 1280 by 1024. Oops. You can see now we can pick sizes that we want. Now it will never actually work 100% full screen, as you can see. There we go. So now we went ahead and correct the graphics driver. Okay, so whenever we gotta go out full screen, it goes back to small, and then we want to go full screen, it comes back this way. And that's how you actually correct the video driver on all of them. You can specify your own driver size and everything outside of it. The error that you saw on my screen about the monitor being chosen for the host, you will get that error actually with this in Windows 98 ME NT, just because the settings never got applied right away, so the system was still updating when it was figuring this out. So like when I clicked on, for example, display, see, my display wasn't there before, now it's actually showing up. So what it ended up having to do is after it updated that, minimizing and maximizing it, goes ahead and upgrades it. All right, so first things first, we're going to go ahead and minimize this. Alright, so I also did say we got to fix the sound drivers. You can see there is no sound drivers. So the first thing is there, we go down to our Windows Explorer. Sorry about that. We go to Windows Explorer. Alright, I will click on my Windows 95 driver or folder. And now here's all my Windows 95 stuff. So you can see here you have Win95, 98 sound drivers, wallpaper, the ISO files for everything, the fixed CPU, which we'll have to do in a few minutes. So all we have to do to actually get these on the system here is just drag and drop. So I'm going to click this, I'm going to click that. I'm just going to drag them. As you can see, the icon changes on the screen in the back, and just go ahead and drop them. So for here, I'm just going to put this in my pictures. And the same thing with these drivers. I'm going to go ahead and put them right there. Oops, forgot. These do not do it that way. Just going to copy and paste it. Open. Now this is going to make your computer probably freak out. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. With mine, it actually made the screen freak out for a little bit when I first ran this to see if it actually does correct the problem. So yeah, if your screen freaks out and does anything crazy, don't worry about it. You can just reboot it and then it'll go ahead and fix all the problems. Okay. Or as you can see here, it's actually doing everything the way we need it to with no problem. See? So I've gotten this error a few times with it, but it's okay. Alright, so this is the registration. We don't have to worry about that. So what I ended up doing was I just restarted the computer here. And if everything all worked out very well, we will have to reboot probably 2 more times. Hit yes. Now with the login screen, you can type in the word administrator. You can type in your name because, like I said, you do have users. I just skip it. All right, and then after this, we should be able to log back in, and we should hear our Windows 95 sound. And there we go. I'm going to take this and throw that in the garbage because I don't want that. All right. And then also while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and change my background. So I'm going to pick a new wallpaper. Well, isn't that something? For some reason, it will not let me set this as my wallpaper anymore. All right, let's just try that one more time. Oops. Close out of that. Oh, Yeah. Well, isn't that weird? Alright, so we're going to open this up, File, Save As, save as a bitmap, and put it on the desktop. Alright, so now with hopefully some luck, I'm going to go ahead and just put that in my pictures folder. Download, see, documents, pictures, and bitmap. And there we go. Still find it a little odd that I couldn't do it this time, but okay. Now we have our new Windows 95 screen in the back. All right, and I also did say we're going to be installing Plus and Office. So let's get going with that. All right, so what first thing is, actually we'll do this at full screen. Go up to the top and click on Workstation, or if you're using Player, click Player. Go down to VM, and then we're going to go ahead and select CD, DVD, and then Settings. Because we're going to go ahead and mount the ISO file for Office. There we go. So we're going to go ahead and click Next on the name and organization. Confirm everything's correct. I assume so. And then now again, I do have a CD key for this. I don't know how well it works, but I'm going to find out how well it works. Yeah. Oops. And let's hope to God it works. Oh, seems like it did, so I'll take it. All right, so we're going to put it on the the MS Office folder. Hit OK. And then we're going to do typical installation. And because we actually have all the extra features there and everything, the extra hard drive space, we can add all the extra features. Okay, and this is a 2-disk setup. We also can install games on here too for Windows 95. So if you have Doom, Diablo 1, I believe in Diablo 2 as well, Duke Nukem, any game that will actually function on here just fine. DOS-based games as well as games that came out for 95, the emulator can handle it very well. For the most part, actually, a lot of these emulators can handle a lot of the games very well, if that's what you're looking to do with this. All right, so it says we got to restart, so let's go ahead and do that again. And there we go. Man, I remember this more than the Office bar on the side here. You can always add your favorites too if you wanted to. Programs. So all your programs you want to click on, here's this. It was amazing. So here we got Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. So let's open up Microsoft Word. Okay. Oh, sorry, this is actually just the help box. So we're going to click Start a New Document. And then we have all our choices here for blank document, database, presentation, Excel. And there we go. The one thing I always did really miss a lot was actually this bar for some reason. I don't know why. I really kind of like the customizing of the bar. I like that fact to see I can add things to it. So I can make a whole new folder. So I believe when I was younger, I had a lot of games on here. So like all the games I installed, I just put them on the bar right here, so that was easy for me to get to. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and mount the second disk, because I'm kind of curious what the second disk was for then. So let's go ahead and take a look real quickly. It's probably like a supplement. Hmm. It's just the icon. Yeah, I have absolutely no idea what this is really meant for. Maybe it's the same thing. Or maybe it's for if I wanted to run it off a CD. This is the CD I'd have to put in. I don't know. Been a long time. Whoops. Alright, so we have now Office installed, drivers are fixed on here. As you can see, everything's going well. So the next thing I said we're going to do is we're going to install the Plus package. Now the Plus package gave you a bunch of different themes, wallpapers. If I remember correctly, I think a few extra games too. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So we're going to go to here, browse, Microsoft Plus for 95. Okay, and then it's the same thing as it was with Office. You get the welcome screen, the organization confirmation screen, and then CD key. So let's hopefully the CD key that I actually have here is going to work. Because honestly, I never actually installed this yet on here. I never even checked to see if any of the keys actually worked. That key doesn't work. Yeah, that one did. So like always, this will be available for download through the actual package. I'm just going to take the Windows 95 CD and everything, and I'm going to actually probably customize it so that everything's all one, or maybe just leave them separate. Not sure yet. So you're able to go through and download everything I have here. So you'll be able to get, like you said, the Office. You'll be able to get the Office. No, don't want to do tasks at night. It doesn't actually matter. Anything like it's doing anything. I'm not going to keep this thing on. But that's kind of like the alarm clock of today. But like I was saying, you'll get Windows 95, the install CD with the serial number, Office 97, I'm sorry, 95 with serial number, and the Microsoft Plus with serial number. So that all of them can be installed. And like always, the virtual I'm building right now, I will go ahead and distribute and package this up as well, so you can just download it directly and start using. This only will work in VMware though, so if you're using VirtualBox or Hyper-V or anything else, obviously this is not going to function. You have to do the install from scratch. And the same thing with the patches and everything else. So at this point here, huh, okay. Now these are some, this was my thing right back in the day. I love this one. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and restart Windows. And then once it's done rebooting, we will pretty much be all done with the video here. And now you got the new Microsoft Plus splash screen at the bottom down there. Yeah, this was everything. Although I don't believe I used Windows 95. I think I was 98. 'Cause I believe the Plus for 95 and 98 were actually the same. But you can see here the texture is different, colors are different, everything. Oh, this is so cool. There's the Sound Blaster fixes. Although it didn't have any games. I know I do have actually the game pack for Windows 95, which installed a bunch of Microsoft games. I just don't actually know where it is. Desktop themes, love it. Some science, 60s, some golden era, straight up Windows 95. Now this is another one too we used to use all the time back in the day. Made it all modern looking, which is ironic because when you actually download ME, these actual icons were based, well, ME's icons were based off of this setup here, like everything. Open up this, your system agent here, let you know if you're running out of disk space, if you have any problems and you need to scan. So yeah, and that concludes the video. So, like I said, we now have Windows 95 installed with everything on virtual with a full, desktop screen, obviously. Start menu, Microsoft Office, Microsoft Plus, the whole everything. So, if you like the video, like it, share it out to people. Hopefully it was informative to somebody out there who just kind of wants to install Windows 95 or kind of use it again. I'll probably do another video later on about installing the games as well on here, and showing you how they perform on a virtual environment as opposed to actually going out and buying yourself a, old Windows 95, 98 style computer and going from there. So yeah, everything's in the description below. You'll need to do this exact actual install from start to finish. And there is one other thing. There's a fixed CPU. I will leave that in the actual description as well. It all depends. If it's acting buggy or having some problems doing the install, or not working or loading, correctly, you can run that patch. But for the most part, I've talked to people who've actually used the virtual and never had that problem. Some people have, and I've actually had it in the past with a different CD. Not using this actual CD. I had that problem when I was doing the DOS boots and doing the installs of floppy drives. So I think they pretty much fixed the CPU problem when I got this version of the ISO of Windows 95, technically with Internet Explorer. So yeah. So again, if you like the video, like it, share it, subscribe, and check out my next video, Windows 98 from start to scratch. And I'll be doing the same thing with that one, installing the Plus package, installing Office on there as well. So yeah, thank you guys and have a great day.